According to the Muslim belief and Islamic scholarly accounts, the revelation of the Quran to the Islamic prophet Muhammad began in 610 AD. This is when we first hear of the God Allah and worshiping to him. But what many people don't know is that Allah is actually connected to Satan, Baal, as well as the coming Antichrist. And by the end of this video, I believe you'll see that Allah is not only associated with them, but actually is them. We'll start off with Allah's connection to Satan. In Islam, it is said that Allah has 99 names. Actually, when looking into it, he has over 99 different references. But the Quran actually describes that the characteristics of Allah are actually the same characteristics that Satan has. In Quran 3:54, it says, "And the unbelievers deceived, but Allah deceived as well, for Allah is the best deceiver." Revelation 12:9, written 600 years before that verse in the Quran. "And the great dragon was cast out, that serpent of old called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world. He was cast to the earth, and his angels were cast out with him." This other verse in the Quran tells us that Allah is great at misguiding people. Surah 14:4, "And we never met a messenger save with the language of his folk, that he might make the messenger clear for them. Then Allah sendeth whom he will astray, and guideth whom he will. He is the mighty and wise." Here's what the Bible has to say about an entity that is good at misguiding people. 2 Corinthians 11:14-15, "And no wonder, for Satan himself disguises himself as an angel of light. So it is no surprise if his servants also disguise themselves as servants of righteousness. Their end will correspond to their deeds." If Allah is out there misguiding people, then he's tempting them away from the truth. James 1:13 tells us, "Let no one say when he is tempted, I am tempted by God. For God cannot be tempted by evil, nor does he himself tempt anyone." Now we'll look at how Allah's name, written in Arabic, actually looks exactly like how, in Greek, it's told to us the number 666 is the mark of the beast, as well as the Codex Vaticanus tells us of this mark. After we look at this, we will look at the absolute proof that the worship at Kaaba in Mecca, the most holiest site for Muslims, is actually tied and was founded upon the worship of Baal and false gods, and how that's actually the exact worship that continues on to this very day.
When I first saw the Codex Vaticanus, I was literally shocked because I could read the text. It was Arabic. And as I look at it, it had these, what thought these symbols, this and this, in a very kind of circular way, you know. And then you had this symbol. All right? Now this is an Arabic word. You can film it and ask any Arab, what is that word? Bism, in the name of. And this word, you can ask any Arab what that word is. Bism Allah, in the name of Allah, was on that badge that people put in their foreheads as John documented what he saw on the godly video. God showed him. And that will be the symbol of Islam, which is the two swords. That is a symbol in Saudi Arabia. It's a symbol of Islam from the eons of time.
When he references the godly video, he's talking about the vision that John had when he wrote the book of Revelation. Again, here you can see the Codex Vaticanus, how that is the exact similar looking name to the name of Allah, as well as when we look at the Greek number for 666, it's practically identical. And if that wasn't enough to connect Allah to the Antichrist, we can do it even more so. 1 John 2, verse 22. "Who is a liar but he that denieth that Jesus is the Christ? He is Antichrist that denieth the Father and the Son." The Bible tells us anyone who denies Jesus as the Son of God is an Antichrist. What does the Quran have to say about that? There's over 13 verses in the Quran that say that God does not have a son. Here's just two of them. "And say, Praise to Allah, who has not taken a son and has had no partner in his dominion and has no need of a protector out of weakness, and glorify him with great glorification. And to warn those who say, Allah has taken no son." This brings us back now in history to the beginning of Kaaba and Mecca, the most holiest site for Muslims, and we can actually see how there's a connection here to Baal worship. And not only that, but the worship of Baal is the worship of Satan. Jesus tells us this himself. We'll connect this all right now. Kaaba is the holiest and most sacred site to Muslims in the city of Mecca, which is of the utmost importance to Islam. A pilgrimage to this site is a duty that must be done by Muslims at least once in their lifetime. This is what Muslims believe as to how Kaaba began.